So, how have you felt about the play of your two freshmen playing Flynn and Pollard?
For two freshmen to step into a program and learn as quickly as they have, go over to Italy and perform like they did, and now come back and have to learn more stuff. They've been very, very, very steady and have been very impressive just with their basketball IQ, their ability to handle college. They're great in the classroom. Everything about them tells me they're going to be extremely successful here.
How helpful has it been for Jeff to have two seniors in Connor and Josh to really sort of show him the ropes?
I think it's been real helpful for him because both of those guys are excellent teachers. And sometimes when you have returners in your program, it's not just the coaches that do the coaching, it's the returners. And those two are very vocal, very knowledgeable, very savvy in what they need to do on the floor to be successful. And they've been very, very helpful with him. I think that's the reason he's grown so quickly. That and the fact that he spent a year at prep school and playing in an environment where the athleticism was different. He became the leader of that team. I thought it really helped his development. He's not your normal freshman. He's probably the best, not probably, he is the best defensive big man in our program, and he's a freshman. That's how good he is because his verbal skills are so good, his knowledge, his IQ on the floor is so good. He's the one guy that can guard Connor in practice because he's smart enough to stay in front of him and not run into him.
How has Charles sort of embraced the role of, sort of an athletic change of pace guard off the bench you can maybe bring in for some defense, stuff like that?
I expect Charles to do more for me, and I think he will. He played great over in Italy. I think he's one of the reasons we put up so many points. I've asked my staff about this just in the last few hours. What's the difference? And the biggest difference is Charles. So we just need more productivity out of him, and I think in time he'll do that to where minutes increase, shots increase, and all of those things. So there'll be games where he has an opportunity to start. There'll be games where he'll be very, very productive on the floor. So I'm just glad that we have him in a good place right now, mentally in the direction he's headed in.
You guys have another game first tomorrow, but some of the stuff that happened on the Italy trip in terms of the team coming together, finding itself, so can that sort of happen again with this next trip you have coming in?
I think it's certainly going to happen because we've talked about that as recent as too, that it's great for them to go on a trip right now because, number one, it's going to create adversity. And I think, again, anytime you go through adversity, it starts to define your identity of your team. And even going down to the Tri-Cities and playing at the Toyota Center tomorrow night is going to be good because it's a road trip, even though you're around your fans. Central Washington is going to have their fans there. So it's a good game to prep to get ready to go to Atlanta, spend a night in Atlanta, get on a plane, end up in the Virgin Islands, and wow, there's a 22nd, 23rd rate Creighton team sitting there waiting for you. We're going to have to step up a notch. So the trip is a good trip at this time of the year, plus it gives you a chance to bond and kind of reintroduce what we learned over in Italy on that bonding trip.
Coach, do you have any concerns about that much travel, having to spend so much time in the air and things like that?
The only guy that I'm concerned about with that kind of travel is Josh, because Josh went to Italy this summer. He went down to L.A. And practiced with the Pac-12 All-Stars, then traveled to Australia, then went to Italy with us, and now he's the only guy. And I think we did a real smart thing with this team with shutting them down the month of September. We did very little on their legs just to let them bounce back. And then October, we got running again to start playing here in November. And everybody seems fresh. And with guys like that, it's just a matter of making sure you monitor what you're doing with them in practice. Sometimes little is better than more. And you just got to know when to sit them down and ready, because they've already know what they need to do. It's about energy and getting them ready to the game where they're healthy and have their energy right now.
Since you guys are playing at like such a fast tempo, you're a very up-tempo team. Are the high turnover numbers just a cause of like the more possessions we have?
I would say yes, but also just the fact that you got to get used to playing at that speed. We're used to it in practice. Now you got to get used to it when the fans are in the gym, when the officials are in the gym, and when an opponent's in the gym. So that just takes some time to do that. And we're always going to have turnovers because, again, we're trying to create more scoring opportunities, getting up more shots. But if that number is somewhere around 10 or 12, I'm a happy camper. If it starts creeping up to 14, 15, 16, 17, somebody is turning that ball over that shouldn't be turning it over because they've misread a particular situation on the floor.
5 of those were Malachi. Some of that just a kid playing his first game.
Well, one was not a turnover, so we can see that on film. So you got to realize a situation like that too. So I go back and say, technically he had 4 turnovers. And in those 4, he should have shot it on one. He shouldn't have drove baseline on the other. So the other 2, okay, you're trying to make a play, I can handle that. So a lot of it is exactly a freshman calming down and understanding what he can and cannot do at this level with the fans, with an opponent that scouted you, and officials on the floor. It's different than practice. It's going to be different than Italy, so it's just going to take him some time.
You mentioned him having one where you would have liked to see him shoot it. Has he been a little shy in your eyes in terms of shooting early on this season?
He's not been shy. He's been so coachable to do exactly what you need for him to do. And right now what we need for him to do is to get that ball in the hands of Ike and DK and Josh as they're out running, and he's been exceptional. If you look at that game, I mean, every pass he made was right on the money, right in their shooting pocket. He gave them great opportunities to put points up. DK took advantage of it. Now we're going to get Ike taking advantage of it more. So if anything, he's doing exactly what we need for him to do. He will, in time, understand where he gets his shots. And then when he does that piece of it, look out, because I think, again, he's a terrific scorer, but he also needs, at that position, you got to have the ability to run a team, run a system, run that transition game, and he's doing a really good job of it now. But there will be times where we'll put the ball in the hands of Charles or put it in the hands of Ike as the point guard and let Malachi run the off guard. Now, he's the runner catching the ball on the other side of half court. He gets an opportunity now to put points on. There'll be games where we'll have to play that way as well.
The balance you're trying to strike between offensive rebounding and just kind of wholesale cutting off the transition game, getting back, how closely was that done on against Montana State?
I thought we did a really good job of it. These next 2 games are going to tell us a lot because Montana State was a running team. Central really flies up and down the floor. Creighton plays at a breakneck pace up and down the floor, very similar to us, and it's going to tell a lot about that ability to shut down someone's transition. And certainly, if teams rely on that, you'll see teams doing this to us. Well, they'll send. I remember playing against Tony's team, Bennett's teams. They would never go rebound. He sent 5 guys back because they want to stop our transition game. And so they're kind of at your mercy. If you got teams coming back on missed shots, you can still attack them in transition. So for us, we spent a lot of time on that. And we always thought if we can guard ourselves in practice, our transition game, our offense, we're going to be pretty good defensively. And so far, we've been okay. So we're going to continue to see that where there might be only 1, maybe 2 guys rebounding a basketball after a shot, especially against those teams that are running teams. Now, if a team doesn't run and they're going to walk it every time, then that's an adjustment. That's a game time adjustment where you can send more guys to rebound it.
I think in the past with the defense, you had mentioned them not having as good a communication in past seasons. How do you feel right now with your 5 on the floor and their ability to communicate?
Well, us men don't like to talk much to other men. That's the biggest problem. But they're starting to talk a little bit more now. And someone made the comment that, boy, it's the most I've ever seen them talk since any of your teams here, and they were so active. That's a result of Italy, the retreat, the demanding that you cannot play defense at this level if you do not communicate. So I'm continuing to open them up as men to talk more and be more vocal on the floor. And the more we do that, the better our defense is going to be.
During Pac-12 Media Day, Josh talked about like upping his defensive leadership and stuff like that. Have you seen that recently?
I have seen him, I don't know if I would call it defensive leadership, but he's upped his defensive intensity. Him and Connor have been exceptional in the last 2 games with the rotating on the back line where he's more active, more energized to do what he's supposed to do back there. So, yes, he's made that adjustment in his game.
It seemed like after Carroll that some of the shooters kind of settled down and made more shots. Was there anything that they kind of just relaxed and got more used to playing at Beasley?
I think it was the second half of the Carroll game where they started to relax. So they were 7 of 9 from the 3 and made all their free throws. And it's more to me of calming down and getting comfortable playing in front of people again. When you're a program that's lost 17 games, there is some sense of disappointment. You've disappointed the fans, you disappoint yourself. So, again, they have to get through that, and the next year you got to put all this stuff behind you. But it just takes time still for the first time you're in front of people the first time they see you again. And once you start to get comfortable again and start playing with confidence, this is a really good shooting team when they take good shots. And I think that's a result that you're starting to see now. It's just getting more comfortable. So the more they play in front of people, the more games under their belt, hopefully the more they'll be able to shoot it.
Was that more of a byproduct of the speed and everybody was getting down court so fast that they felt like they got to get the shot off quicker, or they weren't really settling in and scoring out and making their shot?
It's more of a byproduct of understanding rhythm. So it isn't hurry up and shoot it. It's hurry up and read the situation. Is it warrant a shot, a drive, or a post feed? It's one thing we need to clean up from our last game. We got to get Josh and Connor more touches in the paint because they both can really score. Connor's almost automatic right now. We focused on that yesterday, and he scored so well. We've got to make sure those guys are getting touches. So therefore, timeouts, dead balls, things like that, you got to make sure those guys get an opportunity to get looks.
What is it about him in the post that allows him? It seems like he has really soft hands and he's got that great hook shot. Is that something for post guys in your experience that's natural, or is it something that he's just putting a ton of time into?
I think in his case, it's a combination of the coaching that took place with him. If he's had somebody that's really worked on his game down in L.A. even before he went to Saddleback. I think it's the combination of the jiu-jitsu stuff that he does. I think that all goes into it. I think it's a combination that he has what I call great feel, great touch. That's not coached. That's something that's in you. And from day one when we saw him play, for a guy that big to have those soft hands and that soft, feathery touch around the back, that's the first thing you notice. Where somebody else might have looked at it and said, he's too slow. We looked at it and said, he can really score.
Any more questions?
A lot of folks are still kind of skeptical about this year, and people online are, walking into it pretty slowly. Is there anything you would want to say to maybe the casual purveyor as the season's getting underway, where you're at right now?
Well, people are going to be skeptical until they see you have an opportunity to have some success. The thing I will say to them is that we're your Cougs basketball team, and people have got to understand the magnitude of what I'm about to say. Arizona plays at a different pace playing in front of 16,000 people. Utah plays at a different energy pace in front of their 12. Oregon in front of their 10. Oregon State in front of their 9. And we're in an environment where build it, then we will come. Where you really need people there now because that's part of the building process, that added energy they bring to the building and the pressure that you put on their opponents, feeling that energy in your building. So if they're skeptics, this is really your basketball program. And we need everybody to buy into what we're doing. And hopefully in time, they will see a smarter team that plays hard and all those, and an exciting team that they like to see play, that the people will come, because that's another level that we can go to in terms of the speed, the defensive intensity, the ability to shoot the ball, that confidence when you look around and you have all your fans in place. They have done it here before. We're on pace to do it again, and we're just asking people to buy into that.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Yep.